Good afternoon, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Today on Newsfeed at noon, tensions rise in South Korea as supporters of President Yoon Suk Yeol try to block his arrest. U.S. President Joe Biden says there is no link between the deadly vehicle attack in Louisiana and the Tesla truck blast in Las Vegas. Philippine authorities probe a supposed Chinese underwater drone recovered in the waters off Masbate. And tech giant Apple agrees to pay $95 million to settle a Siri privacy lawsuit. We begin with an ongoing standoff in South Korea. Supporters of impeached President Yoon Suk Yeol faced off with the police outside his residence in Seoul. Authorities are trying to serve an arrest warrant for the president. He is wanted for questioning in multiple investigations, including accusations of leading an insurrection due to his martial law declaration in December. This is punishable by life imprisonment or even the death penalty. A court on Tuesday approved the warrant for Yoon, the first time such a move has been taken towards a sitting president. The suspended president has remained defiant in the face of investigations and an impeachment trial underway by one of the country's highest courts.
President Yoon Suk Yeol has followed the country's laws so far. However, they don't follow the laws. The Republic of Korea is becoming a lawless world. As a South Korean citizen, I couldn't just overlook this situation, so I decided to come here.
Consumer sentiment in South Korea has been affected as the country reels from the shock of its deadliest ever air disaster, as well as the ongoing political turmoil. Many residents have opted to celebrate the new year in a quieter fashion due to the difficult circumstances. The tragic Jeju Air plane crash, which claimed 179 lives, has led to a period of national grief. Shopping malls in South Korea's major business districts are notably more deserted compared with previous holiday celebrations. In the week following the martial law declaration, credit card spending of South Korea's 8 major credit card companies plummeted by around 26% compared with the previous week. Data from the Bank of Korea indicated that South Korea's consumer confidence suffered the biggest plunge since 2008. U.S. President Joe Biden will try to travel to New Orleans following Wednesday's deadly vehicle attack on Bourbon Street. Speaking to reporters, Biden said the attacker acted alone. On Thursday, Biden met with members of his national security team in the Situation Room. The White House said he directed his team to continue to make every resource available to federal, state, and local law enforcement so they can complete their investigations as quickly as possible. The FBI has described the incident, which killed 15 people, as an act of terrorism. The attacker also planted explosives in ice coolers in the French Quarter just hours before he plowed his truck into a crowd during New Year's celebrations. President Joe Biden says investigators have yet to see a connection between the attack in New Orleans and the Tesla truck explosion in Las Vegas. But he asserts the probe will continue. Biden also reports the person who rented the Tesla truck is a former soldier.
As I said yesterday, the attacker posted several videos just several hours before the attack, indicating his strong support for ISIS. Federal law enforcement and the intelligence community are actively investigating any foreign or domestic contacts and connections that could possibly be relevant to the attack. And so we're also continuing to investigate whether or not there's any connection between the New Orleans attack and the explosion in Las Vegas. As of now, they've just been briefed. They have not found any evidence of such a connection thus far. I've directed them to keep looking. The individual who rented the truck that exploded in Las Vegas also served as active duty U.S. Army. And the FBI is working with the Department of Defense on investigating, including the service members' possible motives and all those he worked with, who served with him.
In other news, the Palestinian death toll from ongoing Israeli attacks at the Gaza Strip has risen to more than 45,000. That's according to the Gaza-based health authorities. Palestinian media reports Israel Defense Forces launched attacks in northern Gaza and refugee camps in Khan Yunis the past 2 days. Meantime, Palestinian authorities warn more than 3,000 children may die due to malnutrition. Around 22% of Gaza's population currently faces catastrophic levels of acute food insecurity.
We are at the medical point in the Zarab camp in the Mawasi area west of Khan Yunis, supported by UNICEF. Here, we follow up on children's nutritional needs. In this camp, we have around 200 cases of acute and chronic malnutrition. We monitor these cases weekly, and if mothers fail to show up, we contact them for follow-ups. This entire process is fully supported by UNICEF to ensure the well-being of the children when families are unable to follow up.
Austria says it plans to import natural gas from Germany and Italy after Ukraine stopped Russia's pipeline from sending natural gas to Europe. Austria is one of the European countries directly affected by the end of the supply. The Austrian government has sought to give assurances that gas shortages will be avoided, but many believe that higher gas prices are inevitable. Energy experts warn of a short-term rise of $3 to $10 per megawatt hour for natural gas. We're taking a quick break. Coming up, the Immigration Bureau vows to crack down on Pogo workers still staying in the country. More news when Newsfeed at Noon returns.
The desire to look good, to celebrate our bodies, to proclaim our status through what we wear is not exactly just modern vanity. In fact, I'd like to think it links us to our ancestors, to our indigenous people, to all humanity. But right now, no one can argue that Wang Od is the most effective proponent of Dayaw, our knowledge, our pride.
Magandang gabi, ako po si Pinky Webb.
At ako naman si Corina Sanchez Rojas.
Ngayong 2025, kombinasyong Corina Sanchez Rojas at Pinky Webb. Dalawang mababahayag na subok sa tapang at talino.
Simulcast tayo sa DWAR Abante Radyo at 94.7 Mellow BFM.
Mapapanood din tayo sa Abante Teletabloid sa Sky Cable. Sa bawat issue may anggulo at ang balita may agenda.
Good morning, I'm Mikey Oreta and you're watching Basis Points, where we dive deep into the numbers and the stories that drive our economy and shape our world.
Stay ahead of the curve with the latest on financial dynamics.
The Philippines trade deficit hits its highest level in over 2 years. The Philippine stock market continues to plummet. The Philippine Economic Zone Authority is on track.
Join us as we delve into the evolving economic landscape. Mikey Oreta, Basis Points, 9:30 a.m. Only on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel. First, updated, on top of everything, and focused on the things that matter most. This is who you want to be. So scan your digital boxes now and search for Bilyonaryo News Channel. Always on top.
You're back on Newsfeed at noon. Filipino fishermen recovered an underwater drone in the waters of Masbate on December 30th. It had Chinese markings. Police Regional Office 5 Director Brigadier General Andre Dizon said the object is a Chinese underwater navigation and communication system. Let's get an update on this. We have on the line a Navy spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad. Good afternoon po, sir.
Good afternoon, Mai, and good afternoon sa mga taga-subaybay ng Bilyonaryo News Channel. Happy New Year to all.
Happy New Year, sir. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Now, have you examined the drone and what do you make of it?
Not me personally, but it's now with the Philippine Navy. It's now with the AFP, and there will be a procedure to do some checks, some tests, to do some forensics, to be able to know the origin, yung mga naka-stored messages, if ever there are stored messages in it, to be able to give us more information on that drone.
So it's the Philippine Navy that's the primary body investigating this?
Yes, meron naman tayong modest capability to do some forensics on this.
So
it's the Navy and the AFP as a whole.
yes, with regards to this underwater drone, do you have, does the Navy have any information on when it may have been placed there?
No, that's it's quite broad kasi usually this time of the year, ito yung mga time na may mga nawawash ashore na ganitong drone sa baka typhoon season, masama ang panahon, malakas yung alon, malakas ang kuryente. So if we look at it in the past, ganitong panahon, maraming mga reports na mga underwater drones or even surface drones na nakikita ating mga fishermen. So we could only surmise kung more or less kailan talaga ito nabitawan. Eh, mukhang intact pa naman siya. So we could say that probably in a month, 1 month or 2 months, yung ganun lang kalapit na duration.
All right. So you are saying, of course, hindi pa nalalaman kung saan ang galing ang drone, and you are not saying this is really China? May ganun na po ba? Confirmed na po ba yun?
When we look at the drone itself, may mga markings, but doesn't indicate anything else except that may markings. It would need extensive, forensics to be able to say with finality or conclusively kung kanino ito, saan galing ito. And we don't want to jump the gun or, wala pa namang results. So we'd like to wait for all the results of all the tests that are to be done.
Yes, and you also said earlier it could also have been washed away.
Yes, most likely. Most likely kasi this time of the year, typhoon season, malakas yung panahon, yung alon, yung kuryente. Ito yung time na we get reports of drones being found by our fisher folks. And not only from other countries, but even from our treaty ally, the US, may mga times during balikatan exercises na nawawalan sila, napuputol yung towing line or lose control. And this would come up after a few months in some other shores, mapapadpad siya doon. So we could not say it conclusively kung kanino ito, saan galing ito, and all those other questions.
So the Navy is on top of this investigation, but would you know if the Chinese government has been contacted regarding this?
That's beyond me, Mai, and I'm not sure about higher headquarters. But from our side, we're just doing what the procedure states. Pag may nakitang ganon, we take cognizance of it and we give it to the appropriate unit in the Navy and the AFP for the appropriate action to be done.
Sir, does the Navy have a technical capability in detecting underwater drones?
When we say detecting submerged objects or contacts, I would say we have modest capability. But itong drone na ito, Mai, this is quite small. And pagdating mo sa kalawakan ng karagatan, this is quite, it's like looking for a needle in a haystack unless we get the exact report, the exact location, and that will narrow down our search.
Right. So, okay, please let us know once you get more information on this underwater drone that's been unearthed or detected off the waters of Masbate. Thank you for your time, Rear
Yes,
Admiral.
ma'am.
Yes, thank you for your
Yes, ma'am.
time, sir.
Thank you, Mai. You're welcome.
That was Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad, the Philippine Navy spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea. In other news, the Immigration Bureau intensifies its manhunt for some 11,000 foreign Pogo workers still in the country. The BI says they are now considered illegal aliens. The foreigners failed to downgrade their visas to tourists or leave the country before the December 31 deadline. Over 22,000 foreign Pogo workers have been deported since President Bongbong Marcos ordered the closure of offshore gaming hubs. The prime suspect in the killing of a Filipino worker in Kuwait has now been captured. This is according to Migrant Workers Secretary Hans Kakdak. Kakdak says Kuwaiti authorities are still investigating the killing and assures that the lawyers hired by the Philippines are coordinating with them. But he notes it is still unclear whether her employer is involved in the killing. He also adds Kuwaiti authorities only received the information about the murder last Friday. Over at the lower house, the Makabayan bloc says President Bongbong Marcos's review of the 2025 budget is not enough. The Constitution says the Education Department must be allocated 6% of the gross domestic product or GDP. The bloc says several agencies had budget cuts just so the government can say that the DepEd has the biggest funds. The Makabayan bloc also says it is looking at the possibility of raising the budget concerns to the Supreme Court.
Kung sa Makabayan as a whole, wala pa ganong desisyon, no, na dumulog sa Supreme Court. Pero kung meron yung mga individual naming mga miyembro, no, ang iba't ibang party list, pinag-aaralan nila.
The Philippine Health Department allays fears of an alleged international health concern amid news of a new virus in China. The DOH says it is verifying all information about the alleged threat, but it insists there is no confirmation from the World Health Organization about the supposed human metapneumovirus or HMPV outbreak in China. It also calls on the public to avoid spreading misinformation. The alleged outbreak circulated on social media, claiming a new epidemic is overwhelming hospitals and crematories in China. Vice President Sara Duterte could face a fourth impeachment complaint, this despite the three others still pending and under study. Around 10 to 12 congressmen are said to endorse the filed impeachment complaints. The Makabayan bloc says they plan to consolidate support to push VP Sara's impeachment. ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro said on Thursday they will mobilize this month to pressure the Marcos administration to change its mind about the impeachment. Thousands of devotees flocked to Quiapo Church for the blessing of Black Nazarene replicas Thursday afternoon. Hannity has more.
The faithful braved the scorching streets of Quiapo, marching barefoot, carrying an image of the Black Nazarene. A water dispenser under the image helped the devotees deal with the heat. It was the procession of Black Nazarene replicas, a New Year tradition. From small to large images, devotees from across the country brought their replicas to be blessed. At around 1:30 in the afternoon, the Quiapo Church began the blessing. Last year, it took 2 days to finish the blessing held at Plaza Miranda. This year, it was done in a day. Devotees paraded the images along Quezon Boulevard toward a footbridge, where priests waited to bless them. According to Quiapo Church, no less than 1,000 images were blessed this year. Devotees show their love for the Black Nazarene in different ways, from decorated vehicles to their colorful costumes and non-stop music and singing. Charlene came all the way from Italy. For her, the Black Nazarene has answered many of her prayers.
Alas 4:30 po, 4:30 ng AM. Kasi po para po kami mauna sa pila. Kami po ay OFW.
Catherine brought her grandchildren who wanted to experience the blessing in Quiapo. Her family has been devotees of the Black Nazarene for over a decade.
Yung pagbibigay ng trabaho, marami, magandang trabaho, ganun po.
Lawrence and his family left early from Caloocan.
Kagaya po ng operasyon ng lola ko. Palagi po kami yung tumutuloy dito.
At least 14,000 uniformed personnel from the Philippine National Police and other agencies are deployed to ensure security in the days leading to the traslasyon on January 9. Hannah T., Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Let's get an update on preparations for the Black Nazarene procession from Hannah T. She now joins us on the line. Hannah.
This year's Nazarene should be wholly orderly and safe. That's according to Manila Mayor Sheila Lacuna Pan. With the traslasyon just days away, stricter guidelines have been set to ensure a peaceful observance of the annual procession, which draws millions of devotees to Manila. This year's theme is all about obedience and offer sacrifice for those who trust in Jesus. The 5.8-kilometer route will see road closures except for emergency and authorized use, which will start at 9 p.m. on January 8. Authorities say it is important to practice hygiene and avoid kissing the image of the Black Nazarene to prevent health risks. Manila Police District Chief Arnold Ibay confirms there are no incidents or threats reported so far. The church also warns the public against spreading unverified information to avoid panic. Complex Chairman George Garcia, meanwhile, not to exploit the event. He says it's just one day compared to the 45 or 90 days of campaign. Having faces or tarpaulins while handing out food during traslasyon is disrespectful. Last year's procession took 14 hours. While there's no estimate yet for this year, authorities are ready to adjust based on the crowd's turnout. Mai?
Yes, depende sa crowd yan kung matagal yung traslasyon o more than 14 hours or less than, ano, Hana. And over the years, palaging merong bawal at pwede sa traslasyon. So, what are the prohibited items for this year's event?
That's right, Mai. Just like the previous years, allowed items include small religious relics, rosaries, raincoats, comfortable footwear, and clear plastic garbage bags. Meanwhile, prohibited items are large Nazareno images, banners, firearms, of course, drones, large bags, tents and pets, and any sharp object that can put other devotees in harm's way. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you for the update, Hannah T. We're taking another breather up ahead. Motorists bracing for the first round of oil price hikes this 2025. Stay with us here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel. It's the first Friday of the new year. Pag-asa says the northeast monsoon is affecting extreme northern Luzon, and a shear line will bring cloudy skies and some rain over eastern sections of Luzon. For more on the weather, we're joined by Pag-asa weather specialist Loridin de la Cruz. Hi Loridin, Happy New Year. Ano po ang forecast sa first weekend ng 2025? Lalo na we're expecting magsisiuwian yung mga galing sa bakasyon.
Good afternoon, ma'am, at sa ating mga kababayan. Ngayon po, expected natin magiging maulan pa rin sa malaking bahagi ng Northern Luzon, especially the Cagayan, Isabela, Apayao, Kalinga, Mountain Province, Ifugao, and Aurora provinces dahil pa rin yun sa shear line. Yung Batanes natin, they will also experience cloudy skies with rains due to northeast monsoon or amihan. While in Palawan, cloudy skies with scattered rains and thunderstorms could also be experienced dahil naman po sa easterlies. Sa natitirang bahagi ng bansa, including here in Metro Manila, isolated lang o na mahihinang mga pag-ulan ang pwede pong maranasan dahil naman po yan sa easterlies. And for now, we're not expecting any tropical cyclone o bagyo that could enter the area of responsibility of the Philippines. That's the latest from Pagasa. This is Lori de la Cruz.
Lori din, so specific areas doon sa Northeast Luzon ang uulanin. Aabot ba yung ulan sa may Bicol region?
Based on our weather models, possibly in Bicol region, makaranas sila ng improving weather starting today until weekend.
Ano po yung forecast dito sa Metro Manila, ma'am, this weekend?
This weekend for Metro Manila, we will also experience isolated light rains.
So, mas magdo-dominate yung araw kesa sa cloudy skies this weekend, Loridin?
Improved weather, so possibly by tomorrow, medyo makakaranas tayo ng maaraw na panahon.
What is the forecast for the Visayas and Mindanao?
For Visayas and Mindanao, they'll experience generally fair weather apart from localized thunderstorms. Mga dagli ang pag-ulan lang, especially sa hapon at gabi.
Loridin, hanggang kailan ba itong Northeast Monsoon o amihan, hanggang kailan to makakaapekto sa Northern Luzon?
Usually, amihan po is prevailing in the country until March.
Hanggang March pa, and then you will declare the start of the summer season, right?
Of the dry season po, yes po.
And Laura, din also, di ba, scientists are saying 2024, the year 2024 is set to be the warmest on record because we also saw record-breaking rainfall across the globe. Ano naman ang outlook ngayong taon, ngayong 2025, and how many storms are we expecting this year?
For this year, we're still expecting at least 19 to 20 tropical cyclones to enter their responsibility. As to yung overall na ating climate na ina-expect, quarterly lang po tayo nag-update. And for later part of today, we'll be releasing a press release regarding La Nina condition. So we're advising the public to monitor the updates. It will be released today din po.
Okay, aabangan namin yan. Maraming salamat, Loredin de la Cruz, Pag-asa Weather Specialist. The Philippine manufacturers saw selling prices inch up last November. This is due to the price increases in computers and optical products. Data from the Philippine Statistics Authority, or PSA, shows that the manufacturing sector's Producer Price Index, or PPI, surged by more than 0.1% in November, surpassing the 0.4% decline in October. It is also higher than the less than 0.1% drop last November 2023. Analysts expect the first oil price hike of the year next week. This after a rollback in oil prices this week. Gasoline prices are expected to inch up by 40 to 75 centavos per liter, while diesel may increase by 55 centavos to 1 peso, and kerosene may climb by 70 centavos to 80 centavos per liter. The Department of Energy's Oil Industry Management Bureau believes that this may be temporary due to the continued geopolitical risks and tensions. For the first time since 2021, prices of residential real estate in the country went down in the third quarter of 2024. That's according to the price index of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Sujin Kim reports.
Residential real estate prices in the National Capital Region plunged by 14.6% in the third quarter of 2024, the sharpest decline in 3 years. This drop also contributed to a 2.3% year-on-year contraction nationwide, the first since 2021. According to Joey Bondoc, Director of Research at Colliers International Philippines, the decline is part of an industry-wide correction in NCR due to a surplus of condominium units.
Talking about 50 to 60% decline in take-up of pre-selling condominium units in Metro Manila. You have how many? 75,000 unsold condominium units. in the pre-selling as well as secondary market. And given that Metro Manila at this point is flooded with a sizable number of unsold condominium units, it will take about 6 years, nearly 6 years, for that inventory to be absorbed by the Metro Manila market.
The concern of pagbaba ng price is basically, for me, it's a temporary scenario. Everything is a cycle, basically starts from recovery towards expansion, where people buy a lot of units, and then comes hypersupply, which we are experiencing right now.
Data from the central bank also shows that residential real estate loans nationwide dropped by nearly 16% year-on-year, attributed to negative consumer sentiment and high interest rates.
A sizable impact because, especially in the mid-income segment, that is the most sensitive to interest rate and mortgage rate spikes. High interest rates resulting in high mortgage rates, and then essentially you don't have a lot of employees right now that are renting the condo units because the Pogos have left the Philippines.
Bondak adds the exit of Pogos and the rise of remote work have also reduced rental demand, causing a double whammy for condominium sales.
Vacancy in the office market in Metro Manila, 20.5%. Essentially, 1 out of 5 floors is vacant in Metro Manila. So, because of this lower demand for office space, that has also resulted in a sluggish take-up for condominium units.
While the NCR market is experiencing a slowdown, demand in suburban areas such as Calabarzon and Central Luzon continues to grow. Horizontal developments, particularly house and lot projects, are gaining popularity for their affordability and spacious options.
So you have developers such as Rockwell, for example, in Bulacan, Batangas, Ayala in Angeles City, Mega World in Bulacan, Robinson's Land in Tarlac. So they have been launching all these horizontal projects, and they're really banking on the sustained demand outside of Metro Manila, again supported by the shift to suburbia. And so I think it's a diversification game at this point.
Prices outside NCR saw a 3% uptick, supported by single detached houses and condominiums. Despite the challenges, property investor Eric Manalo remains optimistic, pointing to the country's robust tourism arrivals, infrastructure development, and the contributions of BPO and OFWs to the real estate sector.
The main declines in Metro Manila, based on that report, will basically give an opportunity for buyers today to avail of a property at a good price and flexible terms.
Manalo recommends following the buy, rent, sell model to secure reliable sources of income for future benefit.
The more you wait in buying property, the more you lose, because before, Makati was like 280 pesos per square in the 1970s, and now it's hundreds of millions.
Sujin Kim, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
The Metropolitan Bank and Trust Corporation achieves another milestone. The Asian banker has named the T-led bank as the strongest bank in the Philippines for a 4th straight year. The Asian Banker Global 2024 Finance Awards is based on a bank's balance sheet performance, risk profile, and profitability, among others. Metrobank Financial Market Sector Head Antonio Ferdinand Tancinco says, apart from a strong balance sheet, they take pride in their malasakit brand in customer service. The Department of Finance urges Congress to pass the new charters of the Land Bank of the Philippines and the Development Bank of the Philippines. Finance Secretary Ralph Recto says that Land Bank and DBP may rely less on government support if their charters were amended. Recto says these will strengthen the state-run banks and allow them to more efficiently access private capital. House Bill number 11230, seeking to amend DBP's charter, was approved in the House Banks panel last November 2019. But proposals to revise Land Bank's charter is stuck in the committee. Tech giant Apple settles a lawsuit accusing its digital assistant Siri of listening on users' private conversations. A preliminary settlement was filed Tuesday night in the Oakland, California Federal Court. It requires approval by U.S. District Judge Jeffrey White. Although the firm refuses to acknowledge any wrongdoing, in the $95 million settlement, it is required to pay more than $20 per Siri device to U.S. owners who had private conversations captured without permission. Apple also needs to confirm that it has deleted any overheard conversations and make user choices clear in voice data gathering to improve Siri. Luxury Swiss watch Rolex raises prices on some of its popular models. This year, this came after gold values inched up last year. The brand starts the year by increasing prices by nearly 10% on some models made from precious metals. As of January 1, a yellow gold day date with a 40mm black dial costs more than $45,000 from a previous price of more than $42,000. We're taking a quick break. You're watching Newsfeed at noon. Stay with us. Welcome back to Newsfeed at noon. Again, the headlines: tensions in South Korea as supporters of President Yoon Suk Yeol try to block his arrest. U.S. President Joe Biden says there is no link between the deadly vehicle attack in Louisiana and the Tesla truck blast in Las Vegas. Philippine authorities probe a supposed Chinese underwater drone recovered in the waters off Masbate. And tech giant Apple agrees to pay $95 million to settle a Siri privacy lawsuit. Heal PH party list first nominee and the son of the late Senator and Health Secretary Juan Flavier, Dr. Jonathan Flavier, does not see a problem on the PhilHealth or Philippine Health Insurance Corporation receiving zero subsidy from the government. This came after PhilHealth failed to get subsidy in the 2025 General Appropriations Act despite opposition from labor groups. In an interview with Bilyonaryo news channels At the Forefront, Flavier argues that the health insurer has 281 billion pesos in operating funds, 150 billion pesos in reserve, and over 400 billion pesos in portfolio investment.
You're not supposed to be a bank. If you lose money because of services, that's better. So I tend to look positively on the budget being withheld because PhilHealth is forced to spend.
Going back to our top story, a standoff in South Korea as supporters of impeached President Yoon Suk Yeol faced off with the police outside his residence in Seoul. Authorities are trying to serve an arrest warrant for the president. He is wanted for questioning in multiple investigations, including accusations of leading an insurrection due to his martial law declaration in December. This is punishable by life imprisonment or even the death penalty. A court on Tuesday approved the warrant for Yoon, the first time such a move has been taken towards the sitting president. The suspended president has remained defiant in the face of investigations and an impeachment trial underway by one of the country's highest courts.
윤석열 대통령은
President Yoon Suk Yeol has followed the country's laws so far. However, they don't follow the laws. The Republic of Korea is becoming a lawless world. As a South Korean citizen, I couldn't just overlook this situation, so I decided to come here.
A small plane crashes through a furniture warehouse in Southern California, killing 2 people. At least 15 others were hurt. The incident happened as 200 people were working inside the facility. The plane crashed just minutes after taking off an airport in Orange County. An investigation is underway. We are welcoming a new generation in 2025. Those born from 2025 to 2039 will be part of Generation Beta. The Australian social research group McCrindle says Gen Beta will be referred to as the artificial intelligence generation. Most of them are children of the younger millennials and the older Gen Z. This generation is expected to live well into the 22nd century. Viral on social media, the Enmans, a well-known family of actors, take the internet by storm with their entry to this TikTok trend, pretending somebody got into Harvard just because they're bored. The video has now over 12 million views and 1.5 million likes. Watch this. I now understand why they're a family of excellent actors. Now in sports, the country's sports writers acknowledging Carlos Yulo for his golden triumph in 2024. The gymnastics king is unanimously named Athlete of the Year by the Philippine Sports Writers Association. Yulo made history in Paris, France, as the first Filipino athlete to win 2 Olympic gold medals. He is also the first gymnast since Pia Adel Reyes in 1997 to be recognized with the PSA's top honor. The awards night is scheduled for January 27 at the Manila Hotel. Meanwhile, EJ Obiena drops to 4th place in the latest men's pole vault world rankings. Injuries forced the Asian pole vault king to sit out the rest of 2024. Greek pole vaulter and 2024 Olympic bronze medalist Emmanuel Karalis takes over the 3rd spot. Swedish phenom Armand Mondo Duplantis remains on top at number 1. And Filipino tennis ace Alex Ayala is in action today at the Canberra International. The teenage star will face China's Wei Xijia in the semifinals. Ayala defeated hometown bet Taylor Preston Thursday in a 3-set thriller to reach her first ever WTA semis. And those are the news this hour. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Keep it here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel. Good afternoon.